On May 8th, 2026, the Department of War launched a website. It's called War.gov/UFO. No clearance required. Anyone can go there right now and read the files the United States government has been keeping about unidentified anomalous phenomena since 1944. 162 documents from the FBI, the DoD, NASA, and the State Department. Eyewitness accounts from military pilots, infrared video from active conflict zones, declassified NASA transcripts of astronauts describing things they saw in orbit and on the lunar surface that they didn't have language for. And a 2023 incident from somewhere over the western United States in which federal law enforcement officers independently reported the same thing. Orbs launching other orbs. The Pentagon called that last one among the most compelling reports it holds. We have been covering the road to this moment since episode 272, Executive Order, Alien.gov going dark, Luna's deadlines, Patel saying very soon, quote unquote, Grush saying 60 to 90 days. We told you last week that this show would be here when it happened. Guess what? It happened. So tonight, we tell you what's actually in the files, what the reaction has been, what it means, and what is still conspicuously missing. Also tonight, the MV Hondius, the hantavirus story, has reached a resolution and a new open question simultaneously. A study confirmed the universe's fundamental constants appear to be calibrated specifically to make life possible. And Ohio is trying to give the Loveland Frogman official government recognition. Welcome back to Infinite Rabbit Hole.
Imagine that this line represents time. Present 1985, future, past. Prior to this point in time, somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1985. Alternate you, me, and Einstein. Fuck reality for everyone else.
What's up, everyone? I'm Jeremy Sosha, and you're listening to the Infinite Rabbit Hole, your weekly briefing on the unexplained. Tonight, I'm joined by my co-host Jake, and we have an episode that is genuinely historic for this show. We've been building towards tonight's deep dive for months, and I'm glad you're here for it. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and leave us a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. It helps more people find the show. You can find us on infiniterabbithole.com, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. Hey, speaking of YouTube, we are 28 subscribers away from 1,000. If you are watching right now and you haven't subscribed yet, please do it. 28 people, that's it. We would love to hit that milestone this week if we can. A few quick announcements. My book, UF Elmwood, is available now on Amazon. Search Jeremy Sosha, S-O-C-H-A, or UF Elmwood, or just click the link in the description. If you've been listening to the show and you want to support what we do, that is the best way to do it. And for those asking about live events, Elmwood UFO Days is the last full weekend of July. Details are coming through our socials, so make sure you're following. And one more thing. This week, I'm launching The Warren, a Patreon-exclusive solo segment. The format is a deep dive where I take one topic and pull it all the way through. Dissective, detailed, just me and the evidence. No co-hosts, no news brief format. The pilot episode is a forensic breakdown of one specific file from the Pursue release. DOW TAC UAP TAC PR-38, the 8-pointed star infrared footage from the Middle East that the Pentagon has classified as unresolved. It drops this week for patrons. If you want to go deeper than the main show goes, the link to our Patreon is in the description. Jake, what's up, dude?
Nothing. Well, while you're talking, I was just going through all these UFO videos that the DoD released. So definitely some pretty interesting ones.
There's some.
One that I saved in my desktop where there's some pretty interesting, like 90-degree and even like probably 70 or 50 or 30-degree turns and stuff like that, going pretty high speed. It's very interesting. A lot of them seem to have, without getting too much in the episode, but a lot of them seem to have heat signatures too. Uh, so
Yeah,
it's like,
they're all shot in white hot.
yeah,
Yeah. And
but
yeah, we'll dive into that
yep.
in the back end of the show. I don't want to take too far away from the deep dive, but you're absolutely right, man. There's a lot to go through there, and we will tonight for sure. But how have you been?
I've been okay.
Yeah.
I went fishing today. Didn't catch anything, so the record stands strong. Solidarity to all my guys that don't ever catch anything. But no, been all right. Nothing too terrible.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I'm on cloud 9 right now, man. Everything's going really good. The book is doing phenomenal. Everyone's saying good things about it. Things are going good at work. Just right now, life is good. We got UFO stuff coming out from the government. It's just, I'm active. I'm excited. Yeah. And plenty of stuff to look forward to.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't want to
Good
brag
to
too
hear.
much, but yeah, pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, man, for those of you that are new to the show that I just met for the first time at CapCon out in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. By the way, I've been calling it Fond du Lac, and one of the ladies there at the hotel was so nice enough to correct me. It's actually Fond du Lac. So I've been
Just like,
been
listen
doing.
here, idiot. And you're like, ah.
It's like, hey, dumbass. Guess what? You're
Hey,
stupid.
stupid. Learn how to read English. And you're like, I don't think that's English.
But let me tell you, man, that conference was fun. It was
Yeah.
cool. It was very cool. Tons of fun. I got to meet one of my heroes, Ken Gerhard. We had Lyle Blackburn on the show just a few months ago. Ken Gerhard's the other guy with the black hat. So I've officially met both black hat guys. That's cool.
Next, it'll be the Men in Black.
I hope not.
Or NASA scientists, as they call them.
And NASA scientists. Are you
That's
reading
right.
my book?
No, I just remember it from the whole thing.
How many pages of the book have you read?
0.
0. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I figured. It is now officially an ornament.
Yes. No, it's collecting dust as we speak. Soon.
Good.
Soon. I'll maybe I'll probably set it down and
Yeah,
I'll leave
no.
it there for a good 2 years to collect a good fine layer of dust.
That way,
And
when
then-
you open it, you can blow
Yeah.
on it.
And be like, oh, Jeremy, I remember that guy. He was real cool until the aliens took him.
That guy.
Yeah, I
I'll tell
remember
you
that
about
guy. He was awesome until the government swooped in and took him.
That guy was crazy.
Yeah.
But no, Capcom, thrown by a good podcasting buddy of mine, Barnaby Jones, was fun, man. It was a blast. Well worth it. I hope I get invited back again next year. The questions from the crowd were great. People were interested in Elmwood.
Did you get any that really stumped you?
No.
Mm.
No. So like the questions were being asked from the crowd. One person, one at a time, they would walk up to the microphone and ask us questions, and we would just take turns answering them. I mean, in fashion of who I am, right? I wanted to answer all of them, but
Yeah, because you're selfish.
yeah, I am. But I shared. And when they asked the Elmwood question, I kind of just took that one. That was mine, right? I felt like that was appropriate. But yeah, it was cool, man. It was cool. We bought like this beautiful hand-painted picture with a hidden Bigfoot in it. Dude, this guy has some of the most awesome artwork. I bought his table book, right? Where it's just a book full of pictures he's done with like big feet hiding in all of
Well,
them.
who was it? What's his name? Shout him out.
Timothy Wayne Williams.
Check it out.
Dude, yes. Check it out. And if you find it, share your screen so that we can show these fine people some phenomenal artwork. I'll have to send you the picture of the one that we got. It was really, really cool. We ended up selling, I think, 18 books, all with autographs. So I got to sign a lot of autographs. That was cool. I actually felt important. Did you find them?
Oh, yeah? Yeah,
Did you?
I'm sharing.
Well,
Hold on.
share that screen, man.
I'm trying, alright? Stop screaming at me, I'm sensitive.
Will you just share the screen? Look at you all sensitive and stuff.
Stop shrieking at me.
Yeah, there he is. And these are hand painted, man. Like these aren't prints. These aren't like
Is
something where
this the Sam
somebody
Square?
I don't know where it is in that one, but I'll tell you, he does really good. So not all of them have Sam Squinches. I'm assuming that one did not.
Okay.
That's really cool, man. So like all the pictures in his book were all different from the ones that he had on sale there, and the ones that I'm seeing on the screen right now that you're showing are all completely different too. Like
Nice.
I don't know this. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm fairly certain this guy makes new paintings every time he goes to paint.
It says in the caption, "Can you find Bigfoot?"
Yeah,
Oh,
they
right
all
there. Right there.
really.
Yep.
I can't see it. It's too small.
Mm.
I'll have to check out his website later. But yeah, oh man, just absolutely beautiful, beautiful paintings, and they're just hidden in there, man. It like the one I got, he's like his little head's just poking through the tree branches, and you're like, Bigfoot, is that you? And you're like, yeah, that's you. Yeah, there he is. He's that
Oh.
picture right there to the left. That's him. They're
Yeah.
both wearing their hats.
Oh, yeah.
That's Ken Gearhart. That
Okay.
was at Capcom right there.
I don't have an Instagram, so I can't look at these, but that's neat.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Totally would love to go to another place where he's going to be selling his stuff at, because I would go broke. it's really cool stuff, man. Really cool.
Yeah, that UFO one in the mountains was cool.
They I will admit, pretty pricey, but they're painted, man. They're not just silly prints off, somebody painted it and then made copies and sold the copies. Like I got a pretty cool jackalope one. Hold on, I'll show you. So like this one, not to take away from the woman who did this. This is great too, but this is just a print, right? So
Oh, sure.
right, it's really nice, but it's not the official painting. It's just a
Right.
print, but still really cool. That's not what Timothy Williams did.
Timothy Wayne Williams.
Timothy Wayne Williams. And I want to give credit to the person who made that jackalope one too.
Oh, here we go.
Her name was Silent Silith. Show the card here.
Silent Silith.
Yeah. So she had some pretty
Here we
cool
go.
stuff there too. Oh yeah, there you go, man. Those are, look at that. There was this
Kraken in it.
Oh yeah, dude. There was this one winter scene that Katie loved, and I wanted to get it for her so bad, but it was like $300, and I
Oh,
was
I
like,
bet.
oh man. But they're beautiful, man. He kills
I
them.
know. No, his artistry is amazing. That's really cool. I like this.
Got to find the Bigfoot in it though.
If there is one. Where's the Bigfoot in that candle?
Where's the ghost?
Mm-hmm.
Joke's on you. You can't see ghosts.
Well, there's the Bigfoot in this one right here.
Oh yeah, that one's easy.
But that's cool. Yeah. No, very good artistry. I like it.
Here, while I remember, I'm going to send you the picture that we bought.
Oh, here you go. There's some red circles in here. You'll love it. Oh, there's the Bigfoot right there.
Yeah, he does it in the book. So in the
Oh, yeah,
book,
right there.
in the table book that he has, the whole book, you can go through the whole book and try to find the big feats yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the book, he has all the pictures again with all the red circles. And I'm like,
Nice.
Dude, the red circles alone is worth the money. Here, you know what? I'll grab the book real quick.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good stuff.
So here's his book,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it has just pictures of it, and then here in the back, and each one of them's got like a little story that goes with it, or like
Okay.
caption or whatnot. And then he's got a creature count right here, so you can fill out how many. Like not all of them only have one Bigfoot in it.
Oh, yeah.
But here you go. There's all the red circles. Isn't
Nice.
that cool, man?
Yeah.
Dude, this guy's artwork is just gorgeous. Like, he kills it, man. I want to see if that
Oh,
UFO
found
one.
my favorite.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's going to be a butthole.
Nope. Even better.
Oh, there you go, man. Where's the Bigfoot?
I don't know. Probably nailed to the cross.
That's messed up. But yeah, so I just wanted to give that guy a shout out, man. Just absolutely beautiful work. The nicest guy. Absolute nicest guy. Shook my hand maybe 4 times. And just really, really nice guy.
And he's got a cool hat.
He does have a cool hat. He's technically the 3rd black hat guy. But he's just not on television like the other 2. All right, you ready to jump into the quick hits?
I am ready to go, sir.
All right. Before we get into our main stories tonight, let's run through quick hits, our rapid roundup of the stories from the last 10 days that deserve your attention. Let's go. A study that received a wave of renewed attention this week from Queen Mary University of London makes an argument that sits right at the intersection of physics and philosophy. The researchers found the universe's fundamental physical constants, things like the Planck constant and the charge of electrons, appear to fall within an extraordinarily narrow range that permits liquids to flow in precisely the way living cells require them to. If those constants were different by even a few percent, water could become too viscous for nutrients to move through cells. Blood couldn't clot, proteins couldn't fold, and complex life as we understand it could never have emerged. The researchers call this a bio-friendly window, a specific corridor of physical law that the universe happens to sit inside. Now, the honest caveat here, the underlying paper was published in Science Advances in 2023, but it's generating significant renewed discussion this week, and the argument itself is worth knowing about. The universe didn't have to be tuned to this way. Whether it was tuned intentionally, whether the tuning is a product of anthropic selection, or whether there's a deeper explanation nobody has found yet, those questions are very much still open. Moving on. A study published this week in the astrobiology lane proposed something that reframes how we look for life beyond Earth entirely. Rather than hunting for biosignature molecules in a single planet, the researchers argue that extraterrestrial life might be detectable only when you look at multiple worlds simultaneously. The idea is that if life can spread between planetary systems and modify the environments it occupies, it would leave behind a coordinated pattern across several planets that would be invisible when you examine any one of them in isolation, but recognizable when you step back and look at the ensemble. No individual planet gives you the answer. The pattern across planets does. It's a different kind of signal. Not a chemical signature, but a geometric one, spread across solar systems rather than concentrated in a single atmosphere. Whether life actually spreads that way is still theoretical, but the detection logic is elegant, and it's pushing the field toward a different kind of research. Moving on, Ohio lawmakers introduced bipartisan legislation in April to designate the Loveland Frogman as the state's official cryptid, and the bill has been gaining traction this week. House Bill 821, sponsored by Representatives Tristan Radar and Gene Schmidt, would recognize the Loveland frog, a 4-foot-tall bipedal amphibian first reported on the banks of the Little Miami River in 1955, as an official symbol of Ohio folklore and cultural identity. No U.S. state has ever designated an official cryptid. Ohio has state birds, state trees, a state amphibian, and a pending bill to make Superman the state superhero. The Frogman bill is awaiting committee assignment. The State House News Bureau, covering the bill this week, noted that the debate over which cryptid deserves the title has exposed a genuine regional divide. Southern Ohio backs the Frogman, while Northern Ohio, where 7 Bigfoot sightings were reported within 5 days in Portage County. We reported on this as well. In mid-March, has its own nominee with its own name, the Ohio Grassman. The cryptid primary is apparently unresolved in Ohio. Jake, the universe calibrated for life, alien biosignatures hiding in planetary patterns, and a frog running for official cryptid. What are your thoughts on tonight's quick hits, bud?
Well, you know what I'm going to say about the bio-friendly window or whatever. I mean, that just goes to be, more pointed for me towards a, designer rather than just by chance. My question though is that what is different with the term bio-friendly window versus what we've always been told is the Goldilocks zone, apparently, where everything is just right? Because it sounds like someone just took someone else's, like, this is what we're going to call this space, and they're just like, oh, I want to be popular too. Oh, the bio-friendly window. And it's like, yeah, they've called it the Goldilocks zone for like 1,000 years, I think.
Okay, so the Goldilocks zone is actually an astronomical term. It has to do with our solar system and other star systems outside of our solar system, and basically represents a physical area along the planal ellipse where a planet can sit where water will not boil and will not freeze.
Sure.
So you can have both boiling and freezing water in a planet in the Goldilocks zone, but for a majority of its yearly rotation, it would be liquid water. So that's the Goldilocks zone. Now, the other term has to do with biology. So it's biology and the way that physics is written up. So because physics is the way it is and liquid is able to be the consistency that we know it in the Goldilocks zone, right? That's important. That's a part that I did leave out of this write-up because that is very important in the physics, because the physics here on Earth is not going to be, well, it is going to be the same physics, but it's going to be altered by temperatures and pressures and other such things, right? But here on Earth, let's say physics was tweaked, right? And the natural flow of water wasn't what it is. Let's say water was just naturally thicker and it didn't flow as well, right? That's
It'd
physics.
be a big problem for biological life, I'll tell you that much.
And that's what it means. That's what it means.
Can't pump syrup. It's pretty hard. You got to have a real big valve.
And that's exactly what that term meant, man, is that we exist because physics lives in this narrow window, right? Writing this up, I knew you were going to catch on to that one right away, and then you were going to see some connecting points in there from your point of view, and I'm happy you did.
Oh, of course. I mean, it just goes for me to, it just lends credence to the idea that this is all planned and not just, by cosmic chance.
And it does.
Which would be astronomical.
Right?
The chance of everything being so perfectly just would be, just right would be absolutely astronomical. Moving on.
Play devil's advocate here, though. Hold on.
What's that?
Play devil's advocate, right? One side of the coin is, like you said, everything is tuned perfectly so that we exist, right? But life can, on the other side of the coin, what if life creates itself around the rules of physics? So even if physics was different, would life create itself to be able to exist in these new rules of physics? Think of like the bacteria.
We would have to first establish that life is existing outside of what we consider physics. And that means like going to a place, finding life and saying it is thriving in a type of physics that is different than ours, say thicker water or whatever it is, right? Because you can theorize whatever you want, but proving it is a completely different thing, right?
And we never can. Because even if we go to another planet, right, and that water is ice,
sure,
right? It's the same physics.
Yeah.
It's the same calculation, the same equation, but one of the variables in that equation is that it's colder, right? That's the thing, is that it does lean to your side of the coin here, right? The creator hypothesis is And I think it makes more sense in this sense that
Sure.
the reality as we know it is tuned so that we can survive, right?
Now, not perfectly, because there is still catastrophic things, right? So
Yeah.
it's not like, you know, I would say that goes with the
But
fall and sin and all that sort of stuff because we weren't made to like, breathe ash with a volcanic eruption, obviously, right? So it's like
right,
there
yeah.
is problems, right? But for the most part, it seems to be that this, from what I know, and I could be wrong, why not? But you know, we are the only planet with substantial life, I'll say that. So not microbes, not bacteria, but actual substantial life beyond that. But that's not to say that there isn't that elsewhere, but we seem to be in a zone, well, if I'll just call it what it is, then the Goldilocks zone, say for our solar system, right? Where this seems to be the best place to have life existing. Now, I know that there's been other, I don't know what the scientific term for it is or whatever, but the basically more inhabitable planets that have been discovered, right, through telescopes that we've shot out into space and things like that, right? Now, can we find life on them? Substantial life, like besides just bacteria that, like the space aids blowing back and forth, but like actual, like, I don't know, megafauna or, plant life or whatever it is. I don't know, right? Maybe we get there, maybe we don't. Or maybe we find another like planet and I don't know, we are here for another 100,000 years and we're able to then traverse to those planets and then set up camp there and grow in population elsewhere and stuff, right? And then we would truly be able to see if, I don't know, if your theory could then become established of life changing to the environment instead of the environment being tailored to life. Because
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm a proponent of evolution, or macro evolution, right? Actual species changing from one to another to another to another. But I'd be a fool to say that micro evolution or adaptation is not a thing. But how far does adaptation go? Can it go to a point where we're not genetically dissimilar from, humans here, but like, as far as becoming a different species altogether, but are we able to adapt to a new environment with a new set of rules like physics or where maybe like I don't know, I've heard that, some people are being born these days without wisdom teeth. Now, is it something people are saying or is that an actual thing? I don't know. But I've heard that and then they would say, well, it's because after so many, of pulling out your wisdom teeth, you know, it could be possible for people to just be born without them. And to that, I would say a handful of people that just have weird jaw structures isn't, proof of adaptation or evolution, right? Because I know a guy in boot camp that had 6 wisdom teeth, you can grab him and be like, oh, it's evolution. It's like, no, or he had a huge head, which he did, and his jaw was different than everyone else's
Now, to be
because it was bigger,
fair,
right? So it's
to be
like,
f- to be fair, mutation is an aspect of evolution. So if a mutation finds it to there's benefits to the mutation and
sure.
enough generations will say suffer from the mutation, whether it's a positive or negative mutation, and
Mhm.
it ends up getting passed down over and over and over again, that adaptation does work in the favor of evolution.
But I would say that that would probably be a no for wisdom teeth because I think the only thing that wisdom teeth do is that it doesn't ruin your ability to eat food. It just ruins your smile. It makes you need braces. So it's like, it seems to be more of a cosmetic thing. I could be wrong,
and
but
and it
let's say
makes
like, let's say, a generation of people that are born without tonsils. That's probably a better one because I still have my tonsils, but I know plenty of people that don't. And it's because tonsillitis is a thing and they
Mhm.
can become infected. And that could, you know, I don't know, that could certainly become painful enough to where you can't eat. Could it get to a point where it kills you because you can't eat? I don't know. But that would be still adaptation until you get to a point where someone is completely genetically dissimilar from their parents or whatever it is, right? Because that's what was it? macroevolution is. It's one species to another species, and then all that change over time until you can look at both parties and say these are different species, right? But yeah, I don't know. Like maybe it would be possible if we were here for 100,000 more years before we all kill each other through nuclear warfare, whatever it is, right? Or the planet just swallows us up like and goes on to the next thing. I don't know.
Lost your audio there, Jake. You might have to back out and come back in, bud.
That's better. Or maybe like without, say, doing something that extreme, maybe it could be as easy as, Elon Musk wants us to colonize Mars. Well, Mars has a different gravitational pull than Earth does of, whatever gravity is. Could it be that after, 100 generations of inhabiting Mars, people have adapted to function as well as they would here on Earth, but on Mars? And should they try to come back, it would be so different that like they would explode like a fish coming up from the depths, right? Like who knows?
Just a swim bladder being
Right.
choked out of your guts.
Your pancreas just ruptures, right? Like who knows, right? So yeah, I mean, it is interesting, certainly an interesting thought process, but yeah, I would have to be, of course you'd have to get there and then prove that the physics that this planet or this solar system or whatever is bound by is completely different than ours. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't say that it wouldn't be that life could be on another planet just tailored to a different environment that's able to stand crushing pressures or even less gravitational pull, because we can look on our own planet and see that that's the case, right?
So before I rudely interrupted you and said, "No, wait," what were you gonna go into?
What's that?
You said moving on or something.
Oh no,
You were
I
gonna
was
talk
just going
about
to go into the
different
next thing that kind of jumped out at me with the quick hits.
Oh yeah, what is it? Go to that.
The Ohio State cryptid is hilarious, but understandable. However, they cannot claim the Sasquatch. If anyone's going to claim Sasquatch, it has to be California with the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot film.
Well, okay, all right. So as an argument there are many states that have the robin or the cardinal as their state bird.
Nope.
Right?
Nope. This is different. There can only be one. This is like Highlander.
Plus, it could be only one. Ask me how I know that. Not from Highlander. I just know it from other things.
How dare you? How dare you, sir?
I just got a really cool text message.
You are on your phone while you're supposed to be recording with me?
I just got a message from the one and only Chad Lewis.
Who's Chad Lewis?
Oh my gosh.
Dude, I need to trim my nose hairs. These are getting ridiculous.
So just to argue, picture-in-picture mode closed to, okay, just to argue with you, the state of Ohio has a specific Bigfoot, the Ohio grassman. Now, is it genetically different, physically different? I don't know. They just call it the grassman as far as I know. So let's say that they make the grassman the state cryptid. That still leaves Patty. I think that they should make the state cryptid in California Patty, not Bigfoot, Patty.
Well,
that's it.
The California has the best best version of the Bigfoot, in that they have the best video of the Bigfoot. The other ones are just hearsay nonsense, obviously. No, I think that's actually pretty cool. I mean, obviously, they could run with it, right? It doesn't lay any credibility into the Loveland Frogman existing, but it is probably the most widely recognized Ohio cryptid. But I mean, they could just go for it and just be like, yeah, and the second state bird is the UFO, or Nevada would be like, oh, ours is the Thunderbird, or right? Not Nevada, but was it Arizona, I think? Like, ours is the Thunderbird, and also it's the state bird. So yeah, it's like, but I think that'd be cool, because what you have I think you have the cryptid map somewhere in your studio right now, right? Where
I have 1, 2.
There you go.
I have 3.
But that would be funny if they, if the cryptid map wasn't just like some, hey, these are the major cryptids here, but if all the 50 states were just like, okay, we're going to choose our state cryptids and it somehow lined up to that. That would be pretty funny
You
and
know what would be
interesting.
cool? You know what would be cool? Just so we can waste more time on the listeners. If we did like a celebrity death match of state cryptids.
Yeah.
If we could actually put them in claymation and just draft a cryptid from every state and just throw them into a death match.
Have AI do it.
If you guys want to see an AI, gosh, how many matches would that turn out to be? That'd be a lot. You start off with 25, and
Yeah.
then 12, right, with a bye. 37. Oof, man, just a lot. We'll just say close to 50. Close to 50
You'd
different
have to
matches.
you'd have to break it up either, well, because all these states, like, yeah, a couple of them might have Bigfoot or some variation of Bigfoot, but you'd have to get the variation right. So that way it was like, it was the Northern Pacific Bigfoot versus the, gosh, what was the one from Louisiana?
The skunk ape.
Well, yes.
Or are you
Skunk
talking
ape,
about the
yeah. No,
like the
yeah, yeah.
Rougarou?
Yeah, the skunk ape, right? Like going against each other like that with their own like specific stats and everything. So that way it wasn't just balanced out, just a draw every time it was like a similar cryptid. But
And then
I think
to
it'd be
really fuck
interesting.
them up, it'd be a random environment too. So it'd be like, all right, so it's the Jersey Devil versus Nessie on the moon.
Yeah. 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 The Rougarou versus the Mothman in the New York sewer system. Good luck. Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun. All right, if anybody wants to hear that or see that, let us know. Maybe we can work that out. That'd be a
I
lot of
don't know. We
fun.
probably have to use like Sora or something, but do
Yeah.
a small.
Nobody steal that from us. We're patenting that as soon as we're done recording.
Yeah. This is our invention. So,
Cryptid death match.
yeah.
All right, you ready to get into the only briefing of the night?
Yeah, dude, let's go for it.
Shoot. My dumbass. Hold on.
Anyway, what was your text message? You got a text and it was awesome.
Yeah. Hold on, because I exited out of my my script.
What an amateur. That's it. You're fired. But come back to write the script.
So I met a lot of really cool people at
Mhm.
this convention. Lots of really cool people, man. The guys that I was on the panel with and the host was just great. I don't want to put out too much because I just don't want to just in case some stuff falls through. I don't want anybody to get excited and not be able to deliver. But Jeff Finnup, the guy from Badgerland Legends, he told me, he was like, hey, I'm going to see Chad Lewis at the Hodag Festival this weekend or next weekend. You going to be there? And I was like, nah, I got to work. This is my first time really stepping out into the convention thing. And they're like, oh, no worries, next year. And I was like, but I've been trying to get a hold of Chad Lewis forever. Chad Lewis grew up in the area. He went to Stout.
Oh, nice.
And he has a bunch of signed books that you can buy at Dragon Tales Books on Main Street here in Menominee. I guess it was like one of his favorite places to go while he was going to Stout. And he's a world famous cryptozoologist. I mean, he's written up tons of books. I have probably 6 or 7 books from him back here. He does a lot of work with Noah Voss. The book that I read for Peppy when I did the Lake Pepin monster special, that was a Chad Lewis book. That was actually a book that I bought from that bookstore. Let me see if I can find it real quick for you guys. I don't want to waste too much time, although I can just cut this out.
Does he write Winter Legends and Lore?
Maybe.
What about Supernatural Lake Superior?
Yes, that one. Yes, that's his newest book.
Yep, then that makes sense. I'm just kidding. I'm reading on his website.
I had a feeling that you Googled it. Well, I mean, I have a bunch of books from him. I was trying to find that one, but I've got a couple up there. I don't know. You guys probably can't see the book titles, but trust me, just look up Chad Lewis, man. The guy is an absolute stud, and I have been working for years to try to get in touch with this guy to come on the show and talk to us. And it looks like Jeff Finnup of Badgerland Legends finally came through for me.
We can talk
So
to him about gnomes. And crop circles in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Indiana or Iowa. IA is Iowa?
Iowa. Yeah. I think he even wrote the book on the Van Meter Visitor when I did that special too.
Okay.
And he definitely wrote the book on the Wendigo. I know he did that one with Noah Voss. But yeah, so there's that. Now let me get the script back up. I'm gonna have to edit a lot of this out.
Is your next book going to be on the Beast of Bray Road?
No, I'll tell you about my next book another day.
Okay.
I'm not gonna tell you on recording because I don't want to.
You're going to gatekeep me? How dare you?
No, I'll let you know. I just won't tell you on this. All right, let's get into our only briefing for tonight. And this one is a direct follow-up to what we covered in episode 277 when we last left the MV Hondius. The ship was anchored off of the Canary Islands with 150 people aboard, 3 passengers dead from Andes hantavirus, and the president of the Canary Islands refusing to let it dock. The World Health Organization had publicly told Spain it had a moral and legal obligation to assist. We told you we'd be watching. And here's what happened. Spain overruled the regional government's objections and approved the plan for the Hondius to dock in Tenerife. The ship arrived on May 10th. All passengers were evacuated and repatriated over 2 days, with evacuation flights dispersing people to 6 European countries and Canada. The ship then departed for Rotterdam, carrying 25 crew members, 2 health workers, and the body of one of the passengers who died on board. It is expected to arrive in the Netherlands on May 17th or 18th, where it will undergo a thorough cleaning and disinfection process before any decision is made about whether it sails again. As of today, the World Health Organization reports 11 total cases tied to the outbreak, including 8 confirmed, 2 probable, and 1 inconclusive. 3 people have died. Cases have now been confirmed in France, Spain, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, and the United States. 16 American passengers were taken to the University of Nebraska Medical Center, one of only a handful of facilities in the country equipped with biocontainment units. The American doctor who initially tested positive subsequently tested negative and was medically cleared. The Centers for Disease Control classified the response as level 3. The World Health Organization has not declared an international health emergency, assessing the risk to the general population as low. The World Health Organization is now launching a roughly 20-country coordinated study specifically to better understand how long people remain infectious and how long the virus stays detectable in the body after recovery. The study exists because this outbreak is the first documented case of Andes hantavirus transmission on a cruise ship and potentially the largest documented cluster of human-to-human transmission of any hantavirus in history. The fatality rate for Andes strain can reach 40 to 50%, particularly in older patients. There is still no antiviral treatment. The ship's operator, Ocean Wide Expeditions, had previously listed the Hondius for a new Arctic cruise departing May 29th from Iceland. As of this recording, the company says it expects clarity on whether that sailing will happen by the end of this week. So, Jake, the ship is resolved. The passengers are home, and the science of what just happened is still being figured out in real time. Where does the hantavirus story?
I'm not taking a dang vaccine.
If
Yeah, I'm
you
not.
want to stay in the Navy, you will.
Well, I'm not in the Navy anymore, so yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on it, and a lot of them are probably wrong, and a lot of them might be right.
Do you want to skip this?
We try our very best on here to be as apolitical as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And this one in the perfect time frame for some sort of like a midterm election type thing is just so crazy. Like, I'm surprised it wasn't murder hornets again.
What a swing that was.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, those giant Japanese hornets? Yeah, we got them when I was deployed to South Korea. We just hit them with tennis rackets. It's like, I'm not concerned. It's not like you're not going to see them coming. Like, You know, they're the size of ping pong balls or quarters. You know, they're coming at you. You hit them with a tennis racket, and now they're dead. You know, it's just like I'm not concerned. It's like it seems very timely for something that has been around for probably as long as people and rodents have existed together. Probably going all the way back to the bubonic plague, but somehow these people got the one strain that's transmissible between humans and not just feces and pee and saliva to humans. It's like, okay, sure. I'm not buying it.
You know what, man? I don't have anything to say. And I know what genre we're in, right? Where a lot of people like to lump us in with
I have it.
conspiracy.
I have the last one right there, right in my case.
Yeah, the alien,
Yeah, the
the
alien.
tridactyl.
Yeah, underneath the tridactyl. What was it? That one right there.
Oh, that. Yeah,
Yeah.
look at this. Look at the coronavirus.
Yeah, look at that thing.
You can't say that. We're gonna beat that out.
Ooh, canceled.
Man, I can't deal with the world freaking out about another virus, man. I can't. People, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna let it go. Well, the thing is that this is heavily in conspiracy right now, and I felt obligated to at least report on it. And I just don't want to talk about it.
No,
I don't.
not
I
really.
don't care. I really don't.
I also don't
I'm exhausted.
Really care. I can say this though, like, if worse comes to worse, because I mean, I went through all of that in California. Well, part of it was in Virginia, where everything was fine, and then no masks, no social distancing really of any kind, and then we moved to California on orders, and it was just a nightmare. But I can say this time around, I have 15 fruit trees in my yard, as well as 16 chickens, and our own well water that we have a house filter for, and things like that. Worst case scenario, if I couldn't go to the grocery store because of a vaccine or whatever it was, like it was in California, I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna starve to death, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If I had to stay home, 600 yards away from the nearest neighbor and only survive off of what I have here, we're gonna be fine. So my propensity to freak out is a lot less with a lower population density in the area that we live now versus where we used to live, where we didn't have any of that. So I won't say I strategically planned the area that we were going to live and move to as like kind of our forever home after the military for that reason, but I did in a way of like, I kind of want to be less reliant on the grocery store chains. And that could be for anything. That could be for natural disaster. You know, that could be because our chickens still produce eggs in the wintertime, right? So, I mean, it could be for whatever of a reason, but I don't want to be like, oh, the power's out at the grocery store. Guess we're not going to have groceries this week. You know, it's just like, yeah, no, I'm okay with that.
Well, what are you going to do without toilet paper, though?
I'll shit in the woods.
Does a bear shit in the woods?
I think so. I don't know. You're the one that had that camera footage. I think that guy was taking a leak in your front yard. So
did you see? Did I send that to you?
I saw it on Katie's Facebook. So it at least they at least pee in front yards.
Yeah.
So I can say that. I seen it.
Do.
But
you had one climb up on your porch.
Looked
like you were being invaded by bears, man. It was pretty weird.
I had 5 on my front lawn. Or 4 on my front lawn and 1 on my porch. Yeah, it was a lot. So there's those too. So there is a lot of meat available. Yeah, generators, gas, all kinds of stuff. It's only, I think it probably wouldn't help so much in the wintertime, but I'm only so far away from getting a full solar system for the house and everything like that. So it's like my worries these days are significantly less than my worries for the last one. And that's probably all I can say without getting really, really deep into politics.
All right, you ready to get in the deep dive?
Yeah.
Let's talk UFOs, man. That's where we're here for.
That's what I was waiting for that, and then you said the frickin' Husqvarna virus, and I was like,
the Husqvarna virus.
There's chainsaws coming out of the ground and attacking people.
Says the guy who mows his lawn with a shotgun.
That's right. Gets rid of the weeds. What can I say?
All right, let's go deep. I want to do this carefully. because this is a moment the show has been building toward for a long time, and I think the audience at least deserves something more precise than either celebration or dismissal. So let me tell you what was actually released. What's in it that's genuinely new? What the reaction has been across the spectrum of people who know this material best, and what I actually think about all of it. On May 8th, the Department of War launched War.gov/UFO under the Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP Encounters, aka Pursue. You're going to hear that quite a bit on this program here on out, probably through the rest of the year and beyond. Pursue. Again, what that stands for is the Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP Encounters. The first tranche, that's what they're calling a bundle of files, contained 162 files. They came from the FBI, the Department of Defense, NASA, and the State Department. They span from 1944 all the way to 2026. 108 of the 162 files, well, they contain redactions, of course, which the Pentagon says were made only to protect eyewitness identities, government facility locations, and military site information unrelated to UAP, and specifically not to conceal anything about the nature of the phenomena itself. New files will be added on a rolling basis with additional tranches every few weeks. The next one is expected around June 8th. Now, let me tell you what's actually in the files worth knowing about. There are declassified NASA transcripts from Apollo 17 in which astronaut Jack Schmitt describes luminous particles he and the crew nicknamed the 4th of July. They appeared as tumbling, rotating light phenomena observed in lunar orbit. There is a less redacted version of Frank Borman's 1965 Gemini 7 transcript, in which he reports what he called a bogey at 10 o'clock high, a term with specific meaning in military aviation, meaning an unidentified craft. There is a large FBI file covering hundreds of pages of eyewitness accounts and public reports about UAPs from 1947 to 1968, now with fewer redactions than any previous released version. There are recent military incidents reports from Iraq, Syria, Greece, the UAE, and the Indo-Pacific. And there is a 2023 incident from somewhere over the western United States in which federal law enforcement officers independently and separately reported the same event, orbs that appeared to launch other orbs from within themselves. The Pentagon's own description of that case is that it is among the most compelling reports it holds. There are also roughly 24 videos running about 41 minutes of total footage showing infrared imagery of reported encounters between 2020 and 2026. Most of them show a white speck moving through the frame of an infrared camera. One shows an object over Greece in 2023 that the accompanying report says was making 90-degree turns at approximately 80 miles per hour. One shows an object described as football-shaped in the Indo-Pacific. One from Syria shows two semi-transparent, irregular-shaped orange areas that each appear for 2 seconds and then vanish. Now, here is the honest picture of how this release has been received, because you deserve both sides of it. Scientists who reviewed the material publicly were largely unimpressed. An astrophysicist who reviewed the files described them as optical artifacts, fuzzy blobs, light smears, and obviously balloons with no evidence of anything artificial and or alien. An astronomer at the Cranbrook Institute called the eyewitness transcripts notoriously unreliable and said the video lacked sufficient context to assess. Seth Shostak of the SETI Institute said there is no compelling evidence for extraterrestrial life in what was released. On the other side of that, 6 officials deeply involved in UAP research and policy told Defense Scoop that the release marks a historic, if incomplete, step toward government transparency. One of them said something I want to quote directly because I think it's the most important framing for what this release actually accomplished. Quote, the government has been collecting data, receiving reports, and conducting analysis on UAP for decades, and in many cases, withheld that material from public view. That is no longer deniable. Now, David Grush, who has been the most credentialed voice in the disclosure community, said simply, data alone is not disclosure. Luna said it was just the start. Trump said on Truth Social, quote, what the hell is going on? Here's what I think. After covering this story for months and sitting with the actual release for a week, the fuzzy blob criticism is, well, largely fair. Most of what was released is not visually compelling. The footage that's been circulating in the UAP community for years is more striking than most of what dropped on May 8th. The eyewitness transcripts are interesting as historical documents, but they don't resolve anything. If you were hoping this release would end the debate, unfortunately, it didn't. But there are two things about this release that I think matter more than the footage quality. The first is the 2023 Orbs launching Orbs incident from the western United States. The Pentagon not only included that report, but specifically flagged it as among the most compelling in its possession. That is the government's own UAP office drawing attention to a specific case in a public release and calling it compelling. That is not nothing. The second is the framing that Grush offered and that the disclosure advocates keep returning to. The videos are not the story. The empirical holdings, the physical materials, that's the story. If Grush is right, then the entire public conversation about what was in the files is a conversation about the wrong thing. The material is not in the files. The files are records of encounters. The material is somewhere else entirely, held by people who have not yet been asked to produce it by name with a specific deadline in front of Congress. That is where this goes next. The next tranche drops in approximately 30 days. The files are now public. The material is still the question that no one in an official capacity has been willing to answer. And this show, of course, will be here when all that changes. So, Jake, the files are out. The footage is mostly fuzzy. The Orbs launching Orbs incident got flagged as amongst the most compelling. Grush says the videos aren't the real story, and the next tranche drops in 30 days. After all the episodes we spent building towards this, how does the actual release feel to you?
Well, I am in the spot of both camps of thought. For one, I'm pleasantly surprised. We talked about it last time. I'm not going to beat the crap out of that horse, but I'm pleasantly surprised that something actually came of it. And yes, I agree that there was two videos that actually captured my attention. One was the 8-pointed star, and the other one was, I believe it must have been this one over Greece, where it was literally like, doing this number, where it was actually like making some good sharp turns and seemed to go pretty fast. Although I don't know if the background was the sky or was sand or water or whatever it was. It's hard to tell distance without any sort of objects that are standing stationary, or distance or speed rather, with any objects that are standing stationary. So who's to say, it was that and not something else, or how fast it was going or whatever, right? But I agree that, yeah, I mean, at least they're doing what they said they were going to do, which is a start. But I think what people really want to see is like that scene from Independence Day where the president gets introduced to the alien spaceship that has been in Area 51 for, since the 60s or whatever it is. And then we fly it and defeat the alien mothership. Like, that's what people want. They want,
and anything less than that is shit.
They want, Fox News and CNN and CBS and all these other groups to go into the bunker and show the aliens in the test tubes, right? That's what they want. But you're not going to get that. If that exists, you're not going to get that on go number 1. You're going to get on round number or tranche number 50 or whatever it is. However, this is a good start to get to that point. And so, yeah, I'm stoked that they're actually doing something. They said they're going to, and we missed the deadline the first time. And it's like, well, how long before the next disaster happens and everyone forgets about this, or, whatever it is, the next distraction, or, whatever, we're calling everything these days. But it happened, and that's cool. And as far as I can tell, some of the videos have never been seen before. These aren't things that it wasn't like the first release of the Epstein files where they're like, we got the files, whoever that lady was. I got them on my desk. They're ready to be released. And they call in some influencers and deliver some folders and they take them and disseminate them. And it's everything that has already been released, right? And it's just like, what are you doing? How is that?
Right.
How is that transparency lying to us, right? So at the very least, it's not that. But even if it was like crystal clear imagery, which you can't really get through a FLIR, but even if it was crystal clear imagery, that's still not a body.
Mhm.
That's still not an object. That's still not a ship. That's a video of a ship. That's not a physical ship in human custody, right? Type stuff. Or that's not the US military or Lockheed Martin or Raytheon saying, this is the aircraft we are working on. Come to our hangar bay and see it, right? That's what people want, but you're not going to get that right away. So this is a good step in that direction with some level of transparency. But I don't think we're ever going to get to, if those things are in existence, we'll never get to that level of transparency. But unfortunately, that's what people want, but we're never going to get it. So it's like, for just what this is, fuzzy videos and transcripts of astronauts saying we see something weird outside the windows, it's more than I thought we were going to get. So for me,
I thought
I'm okay with it.
the transcripts from the Gemini and Apollo missions were pretty
Very
cool.
interesting.
They are very interesting.
And
I hope we get more of that.
And I was watching a video of the guy was a clinical psychologist and a body language expert, and he was watching a video of the astronauts in the Apollo 17 mission when they were being asked questions like, what's the most notable thing that you can recall of this, it's basically what we do today with like the astronauts that went around the moon. Every day they check in and, these are the questions that the people of the world want to ask you type stuff. And it was, what's the most notable thing you're going to remember from this trip? And one of the astronauts, he reaches up and he starts doing like one of these numbers, and he's like, pause the video. He's like, prior to this, all the questions they were answering them, this is the first time that one of them is showing some sort of self-soothing behavior, which you do when you're stressed out, when you're anxious, when you're nervous. And he was breaking down all those fine details and then going through the transcript, because the transcript was what was left out for 50 years, 40 years or whatever it was. They can't say that sort of stuff in these classified transcripts to the people of the world through this recording or whatever it was, right? So yeah, it would cause a stressor, because they're going to be like, now I have to make something up on the spot, because the most notable thing was all this crap that was like, we thought the ship was breaking apart, but it turns out it wasn't. I don't know what that stuff was. Jagged reflecting particles that were super bright that were floating, next to our ship.
Yeah.
Now I got to make something up on the spot and try to make it sound, oh yeah, it's floating. Ooh, it's just like, what am I going to say? So yeah, it's just like, it's really interesting getting the transcripts of things that they were reporting either to each other or to where they're being recorded, or talking to mission control and saying, hey, this is what we're observing. That to me is way more interesting than some blurry photos. And we got a lot of that, which is awesome.
I agree.
So yeah, for what it is right now, it's a great step, and it's way more than I thought we were going to get. Just like we talked about, going to a movie these days, I am almost entirely expecting it to be absolute dumpster fire of just nothingness, right? Where people are just going to give themselves awards and pat themselves on the back. Oh, I'm so progressive. Oh, and that's all it is. And they don't care, how much money it makes, as long as all their friends think that they're the bee's knees, right? And if it becomes a great movie, I'm going to be blown away and very surprised. And that's how I went into this, and I am very surprised. So not blown away, but very surprised.
Yeah. I think it was a quality first drop.
Yeah.
I do. It's just the amount of people that are upset with it. It's like, bros, come on, man. Like, we got something. And as far as we know, I'm not going to say that this is 100% going to happen, but we're going to get continual rollouts. Like, this is Infinite Rabbit Hole now has something to talk about for the rest of 2026. We're going to be talking UFOs all fucking year long. Like, seriously, that's
except for maybe Husky virus.
The attack of the chainsaws, the orange chainsaws.
I think it's because people get themselves so psyched up. It's like the saying, you can't see the forest for the trees, right?
Yes.
They can't celebrate the small victories.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, I know you want that promotion at work, but you're not celebrating all the small wins to get there, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. I think it's the culture of just instant gratification, right? The freaking social media culture and TikTok brain and all that sort of stuff. I think it's getting people to this where they cannot celebrate the small victories. People, they've been telling us there's been nothing for 60 years. There's transcripts from the Apollo 17 mission and they looked at the American people, said, nope, nothing out of the ordinary or whatever, right?
Yeah.
They're finally admitting they were bullshitting us for that amount of time. Even if it's nothing, even if it's just paint was flaking off, but they're finally admitting that they've been bullshitting us for this amount of time, and people aren't willing to see that as a massive victory in the government pulling their heads out of their asses and actually telling us something, right?
It's so crazy that you say that, because I had a conversation with somebody at the convention, right? And they're like, what's the best part about it? I said, the best part about this is that the government admitted it lied. I said, that's the best part. And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, people talk about, they saw UFOs, during various space missions. That's a conspiracy theory. This is yet another one that got proven correct.
Yeah.
And they're admitting it. They're saying, yes, okay, we lied to you guys forever. Here's some of the real stuff. And we're going to continuously get some of the real stuff. Are we going to get an autopsy video of a dead alien on a gurney? No, we're not going to get that right away. We may never get it, like you said.
Right.
But the stuff that we're getting, for anybody who's not addicted to, like you said, TikTok 15, 30-second videos, or the things that really drive me fucking nuts, okay, are the people that are on like Facebook pages right now that are looking at these obvious AI fakes and they're like, man, these are fucking great. but then they someone posts a clip from this tranche that got dropped, like the eight point star video.
Yeah.
This is bullshit. This isn't fucking real. But yet you're literally watching an AI video of a flying saucer picking up a cow with 3 legs. I mean, it's like,
yeah,
really, guy, really, and the cow's got thumbs. Stop it.
The cow has 6 fingers on its hooves.
And it's come on, man.
I really wish people could see en masse, people could see what a victory this is. And that doesn't mean pull back the pressure.
Right.
That means celebrate the win and hammer down more.
I was going to say, yes, we have to keep our fucking foot on the pedal, man. You got to keep pushing these people. You got to keep trying to get more and more. There are things out there that have been reported for a century, man, that we need answers to. And we're slowly getting it. Don't stop. Keep pushing.
Right.
Good call out.
Yeah. No, I mean, and hey, as the infinite rabbit hole expands, I mean, you just said going to that Fond du Lac thing and the panel and meeting all these people, our voices on this show are going to be getting into the ears of bigger and bigger people where, and we're not anything special. I mean, there's tons of people reporting on this that have all kinds of podcasts and YouTube videos and whatever, right? And channels and things like that that are much more popular than us. But if we don't celebrate the small victories, if we say, this was shit, the next one's going to be shit, it's all a waste of time, what does that do to the people who are actually in Congress fighting for this stuff? What does that do to the drive of the actual UFO experts that are pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing? We need to stand up. Now, I am the last one to tell you that they're aliens, right? But I still want the truth. I still want the videos. So I am willing to celebrate this victory and say, yeah, it might have sucked in some regards, but we have another one and we have another one, and keep that in the ear of the people that are actually fighting with Congress and with the Senate and in the president's ear to tell them, good job, keep it up, you know? So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm very surprised. I'm not blown away yet, but I'm very surprised and I'm willing to celebrate this as a win.
You got videos you want to see?
Yeah, I mean, we could look at a couple. It's nothing spectacular.
So if you do have the 8-pointed star, now the Warren is the new Patreon exclusive show that I'm going to be doing, and for my pilot episode, I am breaking down this video. There is one part about this video that I would love to talk about, because I'm not going to dive too much into how I think about this, but I would love to see what you think about a specific aspect of this video. Okay. So, the video that you're watching right now, if you're listening on Spotify, we do post the videos for this too.
Look at the
You should-
trail.
Yeah, it's okay, so there's the trail. Pause it for just a second, Jake. Now you have control of your mouse. I don't, so it's kind of weird for me
Sure.
here. But in the top left-hand side of the video, you see that dark smudge.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, one of the first questions that came to my mind, and I believe I asked this in the group chat with CJ and Jeff, is what setting is this FLIR on? Is it white hot or black hot? For those of you guys that are listening and don't understand what I'm saying, is FLIR cameras have two primary settings, white hot and black hot. They're exactly what it says, right? If it's in white hot, that means that anything showing up white is hot.
Right.
If it's in black hot, anything showing up in black is hot, and vice versa. So if it's in black hot, white objects are cold. So as you can see, there's a ton of little black boxes all around this screen. And what those are critical information about what the zoom is, what direction this is in, what setting it is in. Is it black hot or white hot? They specifically black that out. Now, if you look at this video, and as long as this video is not inverted, okay, meaning that they didn't take the video and flip it upside down, the top of the screen stays consistently darker than the bottom of the screen. Now, the way a FLIR camera works is it takes the field of view and it separates it into a spectrum of hot and cold. So I could be looking around my room.
Like, what is that?
That is space. Okay. What that is, from my best guess, Jake, is that we're looking at white hot. Because if you looked out towards the horizon, space, or the zenith of the sky, would be at the top of the sky. It's colder up there than it is down by the horizon. Okay. So in a standard FLIR video, if it's in white hot, the top of the screen typically would be darker than the bottom of the screen, and that's pretty standard. Now, one thing about the placements of the black boxes on this, they're kind of in strange places. They're not in standard FLIR locations. So, what is the orientation of the video? The only thing we get, Jake, is that little N.
Right. North.
Right? Is it?
Maybe.
No idea. because I mean, I'm not a FLIR expert. I've played around with FLIR. You've played around with FLIR.
Right.
We've both installed FLIR on H-60 helicopters and troubleshot it, and got to mess around and watch a guy fart on the flight line and see a little white gaseous.
That is like that is a level of hilarious that people that have never seen a FLIR or seen any sort of like heat related video cannot understand. Like, I mean, I'm zooming people, watching them pick their nose, and then you go and you just like start scanning around and get to about waist high, and you can literally see someone just rip a dirty fart, and it's like, whoa, like, yeah.
So this is sensitive technology. It's sensitive. So, assuming that they didn't reorientate the video at all, okay, they didn't mirror it, they didn't invert it, they didn't do any of that. We're just looking at this the way a normal camera, like we would just hold it right there. Okay, it makes sense if this is white hot. The sky is dark.
Mm-hmm.
The horizon is white because it's warmer down by the horizon. So that means that whatever the fuck you're looking at right there is fucking cold. And the exhaust that it is putting out is fucking hot. Let me tell you something, listeners. Any aircraft that we have that we're looking at in white hot comes up in white. The exhaust comes up in white. There's nothing that looks like that. I'm telling you right now, this video right here is the most interesting fucking video. Now, I have heard people say that these are parachutes with a FLIR. Bullshit. You can go fuck yourselves with that. Okay? I shouldn't even have to dissect this as to why that's not a fucking parachute with a FLIR.
Well, you'd be able to see the parachute.
You'd be able to see the parachute, and also
that wouldn't be
would be burning white hot. It's what like flares the thermal signature on a FLIR through a FLIR gun is one of the brightest things you will ever see on white hot. That is not that. I love that video. I think that video is literally the most compelling thing in the entirety of the drop. There's some pretty cool ones. Don't get me wrong. The weird zigzagging one was pretty freaking cool. And then the
I like
story
the one where they
of
capture the rail flying through the thing.
Yes. Yeah. And even the ones where these objects are flying through windmills, right? Even that's kind of cool. They're not moving very much, but they're kind of just coasting through these windmills and not clipping anything and just kind of, it's so seamless. It's beautiful. There are some interesting videos, but the 8-pointed star, man, is fucking wild. Man. It's mind-blowing. I couldn't believe it when I first saw it. Man, the first thing that came to mind is if this is white hot, that's cold. And if that's cold, what can come up as cold, Jake? That's the question that I'm curious if you have any answer for.
A being.
A cold being?
Because, I mean, you're right. I mean, obviously, I don't know anyone, I don't, people like to get all pissy with us and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, you just leave the Navy. It's not your personality. You're right. It's not my personality. It's just a job I did for a very, very long time. And I can tell you that engines get hot as shit, dude.
Like to the point to where you touch it, it's going to take skin with it.
Yeah. Like on the outside of the cowlings, like the covers that protect the engines, they get crazy hot. The components get crazy hot. If you record that in white hot or black hot, it might not be the entirety of the aircraft, but you're not going to get a cold signature off of an aircraft unless it is not producing heat, obviously. But I mean, that goes into the propulsion system. That goes into the avionics. The avionics get hot. They have to, cool them down with bleed air coming off of the inlets to pump it into the, into the areas where the avionics are because they get hot.
Mhm.
You got to cool this crap down. Like it's just, yeah, aircraft are hot.
And
You
it's gotta
might
be
not
moisture
know it.
free too.
What's that?
It's gotta be moisture free
Right.
for
But I mean,
avionics.
but you might not know it sitting inside of the cabin of an airplane or whatever. But, the engines sit next to you are freaking, hundreds of degrees on the outside of the engine, outside of the combustion section, stuff like that. It's just a miracle of aviation that they're able to just contain that level of heat and it not burn up the cowlings and all kinds of stuff or like melt the paint off of the outside of them and stuff. Like it is really interesting. But yeah, I mean, they're incredibly hot. If this is I don't know, it would have to be biological
But that doesn't make sense.
or a spirit or something, right? It would have to be something like that. Or we as in the collective humanity or elsewhere, I don't know, has been able to create an aircraft that can somehow not produce heat, but still has a hot exhaust,
That's the wild thing,
which
is
is
that it has an exhaust, which is it's more evidence towards it being in white hot.
crazy. It's just like,
Right?
it's
Right? Yeah,
so
come on.
So if it has an exhaust, it's probably not a biological unless it's just farting for propulsion, continuously farting for propulsion. I mean, is it a is it something that has like a very, very small engine, say like a jetpack of some kind, super, super tiny, but then how is it going quickly? How is it, making such sudden movements and things like that, I doubt
How
there's
is it in the shape that it's in?
yeah, I mean, it's
I mean,
just
there's
like
so many fucking questions, man.
that is I will agree with you that there are some very interesting videos that are very quick, like a second, 2 seconds of something just right through the side of the screen. I was just scrolling through trying to find one and for the life of me, I can't. I mean, I could, but we'd be sitting here for a minute. But yeah, that one by far is the most interesting. And if people aren't willing to celebrate that as a win, it's just ridiculous because as far as I can tell, that is not something that was in any previous release. And probably, as Jeremy is very excitable about, probably the best evidence to something not necessarily from this planet or this plane of existence or this dimension or whatever it is, because it seems to be defying very basic principles as far as just how propulsion works.
Listen, I want to put a challenge out there, okay? I want somebody to prove me wrong because I desperately want to be proven wrong with this. I want somebody to give me a video, give me some reading material, give me something that is going to prove that this is a mundane human object. That's what I want you to do. I don't want to hear time travelers or alien beings or anything. Because all of the naysayers on this video are saying the most popular thing is that this is a parachute with a flare, which is absolutely asinine, right? If you're one of those, please prove it to me. Give me some sort of proof, because I'm not trying to wave my big-headed flag here, but I've been doing this for a while, and when I say that I have done my due diligence in eliminating things, I can promise you there is no mundane human answer that I have found to the question of what the fuck is that. And there are some or plenty actually of non-mundane answers to this. So, okay, Jake, I see you got here. This is obviously in white hot or black hot. I'm thinking this is black hot. Yeah, you got the N there too. I wonder if it is a cardinal direction. I don't know. I don't ever remember seeing those on the ones. But you see where all the black squares are different on this one? This is more of a standard layout of what a FLIR actually looks like. Oh yeah, look at that thing. This is white hot. No, this might be black hot. So if you look at the wake on this thing and the shadows coming off of it. I want to. You're muted.
Yeah, I'll open it back up. Sorry.
No, you're good. Again, without being able to see the settings of this thing, we can't tell for sure if it's white hot or black hot. If you look at the wake of the ship, typically friction causes heat. So the wakes that surround a ship when it's cruising on the water, in the sense of a FLIR, will be able to pick up on minute temperature changes. And because we're seeing heavy black around the ship, I'm suspecting that this is in black hot, which means that this is also a cold item. Whatever that was cold. Now, anybody looking at this, right, standardly will look at that and say, well, it's white on an infrared camera, that's hot. And most times you're probably right. You could be right on this one too. I'm using the rest of the picture to try to determine what setting this is on, because I don't know what setting it's on. I'm assuming that it is black hot because everything the furthest away from the ship is white, meaning that it's probably cooler away from the friction that the ship is making on the water. The immediate shadows around the ship in the wake are black. The friction would show up as a heat signature. Because that's showing up black, I tend to think that this is in black hot, meaning that that object is white. That object would be cold. Probably very similar technology to the thing that we just saw. Now, was the exhaust on that, was that white or was that black?
That was white.
It was white?
Yep.
So,
Just
I don't
makes
know.
a lot. Yeah, I don't. It's
Could it be white hot? It absolutely could. I could be absolutely wrong. I don't know for sure. I'm just using, basic physics to try to correlate an answer. I don't know if the wake of a ship is actually hotter. I'm just saying that friction typically adds heat to things.
Yeah, no, I agree. Gosh, it's been a long time since I've dicked around with a FLIR on a flight deck or anything. Because I used to have to install it and then make sure the laser worked, and then that it could capture, right? It could capture a target, and then also make sure that all the functions, all the screens, all the different hot values, everything was functioning prior to saying, yes, it's installed correctly as per the manual. So, and I did this several times. However, it has been an awful long time. So yeah, maybe someone could come on here or like message us, or I know someone's probably going to leave a super nasty comment on YouTube because people like to do that. But at least, someone could explain how we're wrong, or, or give insight onto what they think that thing is. But yeah, definitely some pretty interesting stuff here. And I'm willing to celebrate this as a victory for sure, because we got the government to admit that they're a bunch of liars. And they've been dicking us over, they've been dicking around with us and pretending like, no, you're the crazy one. There's nothing out there. You're just insane, right? You should be medicated. You should get locked away in an asylum somewhere. And then finally they're willing to say like, no, you've been right all along. There definitely is something there, whether it's ours or someone else's or, something else, it is good to have them fess up and just say, hey, yeah. Sorry, we suck.
Yeah, I agree. They do suck. Cool.
Yeah.
You ready to close this one out?
Yes, sir.
All right. That's it for tonight's episode. In quick hits, the universe's fundamental constants appear to sit within a bio-friendly window that makes liquid-based life possible. And the question of whether that's intentional is very much open. Alien life may be detectable only through coordinated patterns across multiple planetary systems rather than biosignatures on any single world. And Ohio's Loveland Frogman is running for official state cryptid in a tight race against Portage County's Ohio Grassman. In our briefing, the MV Hondius story reached resolution. All passengers evacuated and repatriated. after Spain overruled the Canary Islands objections. 11 total cases, 3 deaths. The ship is sailing to Rotterdam. A 20-country World Health Organization study on Andes hantavirus transmissibility is now underway. The May 29th Arctic cruise is still undecided. And in the deep dive, we went through what the Pursue release actually contained. 162 files, fuzzy infrared footage, astronaut transcripts, the Orbs launching Orbs incident flagged as among the most compelling in government possession, and a framing from David Grush that the videos were never the real story. The material is the question nobody has formally asked yet. The next tranche drops in 30 days. One more time, The Warren, my new Patreon exclusive solo segment, launches this week. The pilot episode is a forensic breakdown of DOW Tech UAP Tech PR-38, the 8-pointed star infrared footage from the Pursue release. One topic, one rabbit hole, all the way through. Link to Patreon is in the description. My book, UF Elmwood, is available now on Amazon. Search Jeremy Socha, S-O-C-H-A, or UF Elmwood, or just simply hit the link in the description. And Elmwood UFO Days is the last full weekend of July. More details coming through our socials soon. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, leave a rating and review, and find us on InfiniteRabbitHole.com, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. We are 28X, nay that. Since we've been recording, we are now at 27 subscribers away from 1,000 on YouTube. If you're watching right now, please hit that button. We're back next week. The next Pursue tranche is a month out. The Warren is live. And the questions that didn't get answered this week will still be here. Until then, keep your eyes open, keep asking questions, and remember, the truth is out there. You just have to know where to look. I'm Jeremy Socha, and we'll see you at the next fork in the path of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Goodbye, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out the Infinite Rabbit Hole podcast. If you're looking for more of our stuff, head on over to InfiniteRabbitHole.com, where you can find links to all the podcast players that we are available on, and even our video platforms such as TikTok and YouTube. While you're there, make sure to check out all the links for our socials and hit that follow so you know when all the new stuff from our podcast comes out. And until next time, travelers, we'll see you right here in the next fork in the path of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Bye.